Hello, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. We got people joining in, getting all set up. Feel free to pull up the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from and what organization. I'm guessing we've got folks from all over the state here today. And if someone signed up for you, you're about ready to go through a presentation all about donations for Arizona Gives 2021. All right, we got a few more coming in. Alicia, are we ready to get started, do you think?
Yeah, let's go ahead and wait maybe one more second just so that I know we had a little bit of an issue with some people getting in. Hopefully everyone saw the reminder email and used that link. All
right, if you just joined us, please send in the chat box, just put where you're joining us from and what organization you're with. All right, I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're a couple minutes after the hour and we've got a lot to cover. And I want to make sure that we leave time for Q&A. Good morning. My name is Jennifer Purcell. I'm the Senior Vice President and Director of Development at the Alliance of Arizona Nonprofits. We actually partner with Arizona Grantmakers Forum when this originally started in 2013 to help bring you Arizona Gives Day. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not thank our many sponsors. First Bank, who is our presenting sponsor, has been with us since the very beginning, and they have been so supportive and really just a great organization to work with. We've got several foundation partners as well as a couple in-kind marketing and promotional partners as well that are joining us this year. A few housekeeping items. This is going to be recorded. It will be available just like all of the other on-demand webinars on our training page, as well as on the back end under our toolkit. You can find that as well. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and Alicia can either answer those for you or stop me when it's appropriate to get those answered. If we miss one, we'll cover that at the end, or we'll make sure to get in touch with you. Wanted to let you also know that there are a lot of other webinars out there if you've not had an opportunity to view those on your own time. We did a couple on marketing campaign creation. There's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 2 is really about a deeper dive. We've also done a webinar on all of our system updates and new functionalities. And I've got Annette here today with Neon One, who's actually going to go over a few more of those because they do relate specifically to donations. We talked about virtual giving and the donor and connecting with that virtual donor. 2 weeks ago, we had Neon One actually held a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign webinar. So they talk about the strategies with that. I'm going to give you just a few tidbits and data and facts from 2020 to start off our webinar today. Last year, we raised $6.1 million. We had a total of 912 nonprofits who raised money last year. The average raise per nonprofit was over $6,000. And again, that's accrued. That's taking your highest of your high and your lowest. So this was the average of the 912. Total donations that came in through the system last year was nearing 37,000 donations. The average donation amount was $190, and collectively, we have all raised $23 million for Arizona nonprofits since we started this campaign in 2013. Our survey findings from nonprofits, they shared with us that 90% of people said that they would not have raised those additional dollars without Arizona Gives Day. No surprise, the majority of campaign strategies included email campaign strategy, as well as social media campaign strategy. So no big surprise there. The best thing that you can do is send communication that has that little link to your specific profile page to get that ROI. The donor survey findings, and these are some of my favorite actually, is that 88% of donors that we polled said that they are extremely or very likely to donate again next year. So that information is critical for you if you've participated before. And we asked a question at checkout, whether it's their first time giving to that particular organization. And we had 38% of those who at checkout said that they had never given to that particular organization before. And during our poll, we actually had 35% say that they had never given on Arizona Gives Day before. A few important dates that you need to be aware of. Today is March 9. We are less than a month away now from Arizona Gives Day, but we do have early giving that is beginning on March 16. So that means communication, advertising on social, etc., will start pushing people to go to the Easy Give site. We have approximately 3 weeks that we have early giving. That means that you're going to see that ticker on the homepage. You're going to see the donations that are coming in beginning March 16, how many donors, and you're going to start to see that as well on your profile pages. So if you have a fundraising goal, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but if you have a fundraising goal or matching grants, I would encourage you to have all of that information out there by March 16. I would also make sure in the next week you have your profile complete so that if donors are perusing the site and starting to go there, that you've got all the information that you want. There's a little bit of information here about distributions for donations, but we'll get into that a little bit later in today's webinar. I wanted to point out this page, and we'll come back to it again, but we have a specific page under for nonprofits on our website specifically for donations. It's a Q&A. These blue highlighted words here are subject areas or topics about donations. You can click on each of those and it will take you down to the section that you're looking for on that particular page. So this is a very important
Jen, did you have
tab here. Yeah.
Did you have a slide for this one? Because we're still seeing the title slide.
Oh my goodness. I am so sorry, everyone.
There we go.
I'm glad
Sorry.
you said something. All right. So obviously I talked about our sponsors, and I also wanted to point out the training and the list there. My apologies, everyone. I'm working off of 2 screens and I thought we had everything ready to go. Give you a second just to take some of this in. The 2020 numbers, you can see I just went over those. And you'll be able to get a copy of the slides as well as the recording. So you're not having to feverishly write everything down, so my apologies. The survey findings, again, the 90% said that it helped them raise more dollars, and 88% of donors are extremely or very likely to donate again. All right, here's those dates that I was talking about, and you can find them on our website, again, azgives.org/dates, so you can find all of that. And here's that web page that I said was really, really important for you to know where to go to find information. Again, click on any of the blue highlighted areas below, and you're going to be able to get to the section that you want. All right, there's a $50 deposit. Most of you have already paid that. It is refundable as long as you raise $500 or more between, that should be, my apologies. It's actually March 16 early giving, and April 7th. The deposits cover resource tools, the technical assistance that we provide, etc. But as long as you raise that $500, we're going to give you that $50 back. It does prevent those who are raising money on the platform from incurring all of the costs, the donation fees. So that they're not the only ones sustaining the program. It does help us with the sustainability of the program. We will do a separate ACH for the $50 if you raise $500 or more. And you will get that in same way that you get your donations. Again, it's using the bank account, but it will be a separate amount if you've raised that on the system. All right, incentive prizes. I wanted to bring this up because, again, this will be a separate ACH distribution as well. We do have $160,000 or 89 prizes in the prize category this year. Here is a list of what those are. You can find those on our website at azgives.org/prizes. Again, a separate ACH distribution will be done in mid-May so that you can clearly see that that is for a prize and not part of your donation distribution or donation report. We want to make sure that those dollar amounts equal what they need to be. Sorry, my screen is delayed a little bit in getting to you. All right, matching grants. We have lots of questions on matching grants every year. These are grant dollars that you secure. So you can determine the dollar amount, how much you want to ask a potential high-level donor for, or a company or a business for a matching grant. So these are ones that you secure. Arizona Gives Day does not have any matching grants available. A few of you may actually participate in other giving days in other places in the country, and sometimes those foundations do have matching grants, but Arizona Gives does not. I would suggest trying to secure those by March 16, but you don't have to do that. You can actually enter that information in either before or during the early giving period or right before Arizona Gives Day if you are planning on really focusing the bulk of your attention and campaign on the day or April 6th. You can certainly enter it in that day. That's a new feature that we started last year that has been very popular. People like being able to adjust their matching grants as well as their goals. Sometimes people will reach their goal faster, which is always a great problem to have, than what they assume they will, and they can make that adjustment. Beginning on March 16, your profile page is also going to show your progress towards your matching grant amount. So you're going to see that little thermometer, or we call it a little circle, actually, or a dial that shows how far you have to go to reach your goal. And again, here's the correct dates. March 16 through April 6th is the range that we're looking at for the amount shown. It's also the fundraising goal, time period, and parameter that you're looking at, as well as when our incentive prices take place is during that time. All right, your fundraising goal. I encourage everyone to enter a minimum goal of $500. That should be everyone's goal, is to at least get that refundable deposit back. It will start showing on your page on March 16th is when it's going to show your fundraising goal. You can, again, enter or adjust this on your dashboard on Arizona Gives Day. You can make the adjustment within your profile up until the day before Arizona Gives Day. At that point, your dashboard is the only thing that you're going to be able to see, because we don't want a lot of changes and movement happening on the website when the bulk of people are trying to go out there and give. And the same thing for the fundraising goal. It'll show your progress towards your amount, and it will show between March 16 and April 6. Here's just a couple screenshots of where you can find this. So if you go to My Public Profile here, and you're going to see on the left-hand column, there's an Overview tab. You'll click on that Overview tab, and within that, you're going to find a place for the fundraising goal and a place for your matching grant. If you select No for this button, this box will disappear and will no longer be required. But if you have selected yes, you have matching grants, then you do need to enter an amount in here. All right. On the nonprofit dashboard, when you first log into the back end, this is going to be part of your dashboard here. So you're going to see your goal progress. There's a button down here that allows you to update your goals, update your matching grant amounts, and then you can also update your peer-to-peer and your early giving progress. Those numbers aren't, the last two here are not necessarily seen by the public, but these first two are. Customizing your checkout page. Within the back end of the system, you have the ability to customize these areas on your checkout page for your donors. You can change your donation levels, which we'll get into in a sec. Under the Programs and Donation Designations tab, information specifically for donation designations can be found on your checkout page and customized if you wish, as well as the opportunity to obtain volunteer information and pledged hours from your donors. All right, donation levels and donation designations. So donation levels are the amounts that the donor will see that they can automatically click on a button. So let's say you want to have $25, a $50, $100, $200, and $250. You can customize that dollar amount. If you want to say $37 is the amount that you're shooting for, then you can have a button that says $37. You can also customize the name of that field of that particular donation level. So if that $37 is specifically for ABC clothes or campaign or whatever you want it to be, or it covers the purchase of 5 pairs of shoes, perhaps, you can give it that description if you desire. I recommend that you don't do any more than 6. I think any more than that, it gets a little confusing for the donor. You want to make it quick and easy for them. There will always be another amount automatically available, so the donor can always customize the amount that they give you as well.
Jennifer?
Yes.
This is Victor from Gospel Rights Commission in Tucson. Do you recommend customizing versus not customizing?
If you don't customize, you don't have to put any description if you want. It can be just the dollar amount.
Right.
It's your call what you want to do. If you want to leave it as an other amount or put nothing, then it's only going to show other amount. They have to customize something. I do think you should at least put 2 or 3 in there. I also would say take a look at what your typical donor gives. Because I've seen a few that have put, a $5,000 button on their page, and that's probably not realistic. You want to shoot for the dollar amount that you typically see people give. I would say $20 is a pretty common amount.
Sorry, I was asking about specifying the where the donation would go to. Do you do that or not? Or only
you're talking about the designation. Correct. Specifically. Yeah. So I think it really depends on the organization. I'm going to use United Way as an example. They have very specific mission and category areas that they want to give. I've also seen groups who have, they're maybe trying to start a new program, or they're really needing funding for a particular program. And so they want to have that donation designation. We have other groups who maybe have different regional offices. So they're actually using the designation tool as a way to identify where their particular branch is located. So it could be different locations across a larger metro population area, or maybe they have different locations within different counties as well. So I've seen people use that designation to identify the chapter or the region in which that person wants to donate to. So
But as far as
a lot of people don't like doing it because they want the unrestricted dollars.
yeah, I
So
totally understand that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
I was just curious if in your experience, hearing from other groups, have they noticed a difference in the level of success between specifying the designation or not specifying the designation?
Yeah, I think some groups definitely have more success with their fundraising if they have a specific program that they're fundraising for. I think that is definitely something that the donor can grab onto and say, I want to get behind that and I want to give to that particular cause. So I do think there is definitely value in that, but you have to decide as an organization if that's, you know, what you desire.
Thank you.
I know one particular organization used to use it to fund an entire program for a year, and that's what they would use it for specifically.
Thank you.
So again, those are fully customizable. These are the two areas under here: programs and designations, as well as donation levels, where you can find those within your profile. Donor accounts. We get questions on, do I have to set up a donor account? There's two reasons why you would have to set up a donor account. One is to give a recurring donation. So if they're choosing to give to your organization on a monthly, quarterly, or even an annual basis, they would need to set up a donor account so they could manage their payment and their donation information. The second reason is that they need to establish a fundraiser page. And Annette is going to get into our fundraising pages on our new area of the website called Raise. That's where you can find all the fundraiser campaigns. And the nice thing is that they can actually log in and see all of their transactions. They can also resend themselves a receipt if they need to. The donor checkout process, and I encourage you to kind of, go through the front end of the system and just see what that looks like. You don't actually have to go through and process the donation to see all of it, but you can at least see the first part of it. But you'll select the organization. The donor will click the donate button on the profile page. They have an option at that point to check out as a guest or create a donor account. If they're wanting to do a recurring donation, it is required, but anyone can complete a donor account if they want to just track year over year what their donations are. The donor selects the amount that they want to give, either through the buttons and the donation levels that you've chosen, or they can enter in their custom amount. At that point, there's a few other questions. It's going to ask them for that designation. There is an automatic default that says no specific designation for every single organization. So a donor can always choose to say, I want my funds to be unrestricted. They can choose their level of being anonymous, so they can be fully anonymous, which means you will not receive their contact information. We have a partially anonymous level, which means they might want to thank you in a letter or a phone call, but they don't want to be added to all of your distribution lists and put on mailing lists, et cetera. So just be mindful of that. And then the majority of people just have a regular, no, I don't want to be anonymous. It's going to ask them about volunteer interest and whether it's the first time giving to that particular organization. The donor can check out immediately, or they can continue shopping just like you would on any other retail shop or website. They can continue looking at other organizations. This is the beauty of Arizona Gives, is that people actually will give more because they are finding groups who are near and dear to their heart or multiple missions. On Giving Tuesday, we had the highest number of donations given in a single transaction for Arizona Gives. We had one donor who gave to 20 different organizations at one time. So people are using it to peruse and find organizations that are near and dear to their heart. Donation or donor e-receipts. There's a couple different ways that they can get these. Obviously, I just talked about their donor account. So if they happen to have one and it's a recurring donation, they can obtain it there. The email does come from Arizona Gives, first and foremost, but e-receipts cannot be customized by organization. This is just the way that the system is set up. And it's also the reason why we strongly, strongly encourage you to send your own letter, thank you letter, and make a phone call. What I can tell you, what's on the receipt, is that all transactions are on one single email or e-receipt, as we call it. It includes the EIN, it includes the date of the donation, it includes the donation amount, and it also includes the tax credit status or any other identifying information that maybe a public school has or district, etc. It is delivered to the email address that the donor provided. I wanted to also show you another way that you, as the nonprofit, can also send receipts if you receive phone calls. Under your Process Donations tab here under My Donations, within the back end of your profile, there is a little, there's a little button here. It's got 3 little dots, and you're going to click on that, and it will open up a box that says Send Receipt. So you can actually find the donor within the back end on the Process Donations and send the receipt yourself. The other option is on our home page. You scroll down towards the bottom, there is actually a place dedicated for a donor to type in their email address, the year in which they're wanting a receipt. Click that little blue button and we will resend receipts to them. All right, this is a really important step in getting your profile set up, is your donation email notifications. All of this can be managed under My Users. So your profile and your team of people that all have access to the back end, you will want to update this information. This determines whether you turn off or turn on the ability to receive donations. Now, I know that some of you maybe get a lot of donations on Arizona Gives and you are monitoring your account. You don't necessarily want your inbox flooded with all of those notifications. However, I strongly, strongly encourage you to make sure that after Arizona Gives Day, you turn this feature back on, because we've had situations where if it's not turned on, people don't know that someone has randomly in August made a donation to their account, and it's a month and a half later and they now have not been able to thank them. They suddenly get an ACH distribution and they're like, what's this donation? But it's because of the donation distribution email setting was not turned on, so they're not getting notified that a donation came in through the system. I also strongly encourage you to have more than one contact, if at all possible, in your account. We have many, many accounts where there's only a single user on those accounts. And I strongly encourage you to have another board member or another person who has access to your account, so that they can also engage in the donation information, or they can download reports, etc. All right, here's where you do that. Under My Users, you're going to click on the Manage Settings over here. You can kind of see this little grayed out area. And within the profile, you're actually going to
Oh, I think we lost Jen's audio for a second. Give us one moment. And I was typing into the chat, but I'll go ahead and just tell everyone as well. On our front-facing side for AZ Gives, the donors, when they go to search for a nonprofit, they can search by name, but they can also search by mission area, county headquarters, county served, tax credit eligibility of an organization, whether the nonprofit has matching dollars available, because some people like to amplify their give. So just so you know, when people search for you, they can search via your name, but they can also search and find organizations that are lumped together in those different areas. And that's what you put on your profile when we ask you those questions. That's why we ask you those, because the public can see it when they go to donate. And I know we had some other questions as well, so I'll try to get to those shortly.
All right, guys, I'm back. I apologize. My phone decided to drop me from the meeting, so I apologize. We gotta love technology when it works, sometimes when it doesn't as well. I think Alicia was filling in with some questions, and we were talking about the email notifications. Where I left off is you can select remove. When you click that tab, it'll ask you if it accepts it. You can go back into the same place and the tab will say grant. So in other words, you want to grant access to receive email notifications. All right. Viewing donations. One thing I want to say is that when you see the process donations tab, there's a whole slew of columns to the right. And every year we get people saying, I can't see all of the information on Arizona Gives Day. They simply need to scroll all the way to the right and they're going to see many, many columns. Again, review that level of anonymity or anonymous, as most people want to say. The export donation report following Arizona Gives, I have to admit, in December, I probably received 5 to 10 requests on how do I export my donations for year-end giving, meaning they had not done any exports right after Arizona Gives. And so those donors were likely probably not thanked immediately, or at least sent information. So it's very important that you pull that donation report. You need to make sure that you review that donation report again in the weeks following. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, you've had additional donations. The 2 weeks after Arizona Gives, and especially the week after Arizona Gives, we see a lot of transactions still occurring. So it's very possible that you're receiving additional donations. Secondly, we do have donors who sometimes dispute a donation because they may not remember that they gave to ABC nonprofit, but their receipt says Arizona Gives, and so they don't remember that and they dispute it. Or we decline and stop a transaction because the donor maybe clicked the button twice and they didn't mean to give 2 donations out to the same organization. So sometimes there's some adjustments that take place on the back end of the system. So again, we want you to make sure that you have the most current information. I wanted to show you how you pull your report. The first one is under My Donations. You're going to go to your Process Donations. You're going to Export. Before you export, I've got a little arrow here. This is where you can adjust your information, meaning the transaction date. So if you want a report that shows only what you, only the donations that you received on April 6th, Arizona Gives Day, then you can do that. If you want a range of donations, so maybe you want to see everything that came in just March and everything that came in just April, you can pull reports separately like that. So you can see here where it says today, this month, this year, or you can do a very customized range over a couple days. All right. Fundraiser page donations. So all amounts raised on the personal fundraising pages will automatically show under your process donations tab. So a lot of people ask, I've got board members who are fundraising, how do I know what donations have come in from that? Remember earlier I talked about scrolling all the way to the right in those other columns. That column is one of the probably second or third to last columns on your process donations page. And it's information that you'll be able to see on Arizona Gives Day. The name of that campaign is going to show in that column, and you can actually sort by campaigns if you need to. Some of you will have multiple, but just know that those dollars are filtering into your totals on your profile page and on the leaderboard. So when you pull that report and you export it, that's one of the fields in the columns that's also going to download. So you're going to be able to attribute a particular donation coming from a fundraiser page. Again, I'm going back to that screen that I thought I was on earlier today in our webinar, but this page is going to give you a lot of really great information to go to. Donation distributions. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but we've got a couple polls that we're going to do as soon as I go through this. So you might want to pay attention. I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up. So the rest of the year, distributions are done monthly, starting with the beginning of the month until the last day. However, for Arizona Gives, we actually have a little bit of a different distribution period, and I have a chart for that on the next slide. But electronic transfer of calculated donations minus any fees, it happens about 15 days after the end of that processing period. So if the processing period ends on the 31st, like it does in March, then approximately 15 days after that is when we are going to be able to send that ACH distribution. Why do we wait that long? Why can't we do it right away? Well, unfortunately, we're waiting on the bank, because the bank can take 7 to 10 business days for electronic checks to clear, and therefore confirming that there's a receipt of donation or payment for that. In addition, it can take an additional 2 to 3 days on top of that 15 days for your bank to actually process the ACH distribution that we've sent to your bank to be distributed. So we just want you to be aware of a few of those time periods. This is the distribution schedule. That's a little bit different than the rest of the year. You will see March happen just like any other month. So March 1st through the 31st, those dollars will happen, and the reconciliation will happen just like any other month and time period. Then that week of April, when a bulk of donations come in for Arizona Gives, we actually do a separate distribution. I've also got the $50 registration and fee in here, so you can see that. And then we do the rest of April, April 8th through the 30th, back on a normal schedule. So just know that the bulk of donations that people receive the first week in April will do a separate distribution in order to get those dollars to you sooner. All right, Leisha, do you want to do those 2 poll questions that I've got?
I'm on mute. Okay. So do you all know, how long does it typically take electronic check donations to clear the bank? 2 to 3 days, 4 to 6 days, or 7 to 10 days? Gotta love electronic. All righty. That looks like a good amount have weighed in. I'm gonna go ahead and see what we all thought.
I gave them all a heads up.
It looks like for the most part, we're at 7 to 10 days.
All right.
We had some,
Let's do the next.
some hopeful, wishful thinkers in there.
All right, let's run the next one.
How many days after the processing period has ended can you expect to receive donations from the Alliance? So it looks like we have some attentive people here.
Good. I tipped them all off. That's probably part of it.
We
All
did
right,
have,
we good to go?
We did have Christina point out though that indeed sometimes the checks are there and cleared and the bank hasn't let you know.
Yep. All right, thanks everyone. Those were two really important pieces, and I wanted to make sure that we had that loud and clear as to what happens as far as timing. All right, I am going to go over fees a little bit here. We do have a donation fee, and the donors do have an option to cover that. We had 76% of our donors cover that. That's still higher than the national average for donation fees being covered, which I think hovers somewhere around 60% or so. So we have some really generous donors that they cover the majority of that for our nonprofit participants. We want you to know that a portion of that does go to our technology provider in providing the system. Again, it's open and available year round. And a portion of that also goes back to the Alliance and the Arizona Gives program specifically to help us run it. The nonprofits are always responsible for the payment and the merchant processing fees. I have them listed here, but on the next page, I also have a nice chart for you. And remember that /donations page I told you about, that same chart and all this information can be found on that page as well. Here's the little chart. This is broken down both by the payment method versus the option to cover or not cover the donation fee. So we've got this little chart here so you can see what those totals are, if they choose to cover the fee or they don't, and whether they use a Visa, MasterCard, or Discover, or Amex. For those of you that have participated in years past, you'll notice that we have a separately broken out fee for American Express. That began in September. The reason for that separate fee is American Express charges a lot to utilize their card because they have lots of wonderful and great features on it. The rest of them have a lower rate and a lower fee. All right, I am going to skip this because I want to make sure, but we do have on our donations page, the /donations that I told you about, we have an example calculation sheet. So every single scenario here that you can come up with based on the payment method and whether they cover the fee or not, we actually have example calculations of what all of that looks like on our webpage. So I encourage you to find that, print it out, use it as your Bible. We are also working on a Excel spreadsheet calculation template that you can then enter in information and see all of the calculations and how we come up with those if you want to drill down into that kind of detail. Why do we have fees? I get asked that all the time. Number one, we have to be able to sustain our own program and keep it running and going. It does cost annually about $350,000 to $375,000 annually for us to run the program. That does include the prize pool as well. So we raise all the money that comes in for the prize pool to give out. And we receive 20 to 25%. We might be nearing somewhere in the range of 30 to 35% after this past year. We don't know if that's going to change. And then beyond that, the rest of it is fundraise. We rely on sponsors, much like all of you do for your programs as well. We do provide a toolkit that's free of charge for anyone who is a participant. There's marketing to the public that we do. There's administrative costs, obviously, in our time year round. We do lots of technology upgrades, which Annette is a part of doing every year. And we also do all the reconciliation for the donations. So there is a fee to help us sustain the cost with just running the program. We do ask, because there is sustainability tied to donating on Arizona Give site, that every organization, when you signed up, has agreed that you're going to direct people to your profile page and not to your own individual page. And we ask that you do that, A, for the sustainability of the program, but B, to make sure that your donors know that it's for Arizona Gives and we don't have any, what I'm going to call rogue, not fake nonprofits out there trying to solicit people for Arizona Gives donations when they're not a legitimate organization. So we want to make sure our donors are safe as well. Quickly, are you ready checklist? We want you to verify your correct bank account. That's number one. You need to verify and make sure. Every year we have about 20 after Arizona Gives Day that can't get their funds right away because they don't have the right bank account information. We talked about donation notifications. We also spoke about entering your fundraising goal and matching grant amount. Obviously, make sure you have the right finance contact, although we kind of forced you to do that when you signed up this year. And then again, we talked about donation reports. I'm going to turn it over to Annette to go over the new Raise platform and the dashboard, the peer-to-peer fundraising campaigns, and then the donor trends and historical information. And she's going to quickly give you an overview of that for those of you that did see it in our systems update, and go from there.
Great. So can everyone hear me and see my screen? Yes, it looks good. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. So I am the program manager here at Neon One Giving Days. I work very closely with Jennifer and Alicia on your Giving Day. So I'm really excited for the day that's coming up. So for this part, I'll talk a little bit about Raise. I know a few of you had questions about it since it is a new feature within our platform. So just to kind of walk you through it, right now we are on your home page. Let's pretend this is your dashboard for your Arizona Gives on the admin side. And to get to Raise, you either could go through this button or you can click on this, which is the waffle. So you can either go through Raise through this way or through the button. Now, when you click on Raise, this is what you'll see. You'll see your dashboard, and this will be all geared towards Arizona Gives, of course. It would have the branding for Arizona Gives. And if you've participated in the past for Arizona Gives, you will see a lot of different data factors in here. So if you've participated in the past, we're providing you with some key performance indicators. So instead of having to maybe calculate those on your own or do some type of Excel sheet wizardry, we have all of that already built in for you. So you can see everything from your average giving per donor, new donors. We're providing you that full list. And then you can even view this monthly, quarterly, or yearly. So we're breaking down that data for you, saving you time and effort. So we have all of that for you. Another key factor is donor retention rate. You want to keep your donors, you want to keep them happy. We're providing you with this data as well. So as you plan for your next giving days or as you plan for your next giving campaign, we have that information available for you for planning purposes. So for those organizations that are maybe new to the giving day this year, most likely this will be empty for you right now, but then as your donations are coming through, as you're getting more and more donors, you'll see all of this data grow as you grow. Another great feature is that we have a donors tab and a donations tab. So very much like on the admin side of what Jennifer was showing you, we have that list too of donors within your system as well as donations. So let this pull this list for you. Sometimes it's a little slow, but all I'm trying to say is that both of this data is available for you within Raise as well as within your administrative platform, and you can export this out as well. I'll let this sink in a little bit and go back, but as this is thinking through, let me go to the reports. So what is really exciting about Raise, besides that KPI, the key performance indicators that I showed you within the dashboard, you'll see that we have 6 different reports available for you, and these are canned reports. So again, I'm a former fundraiser myself, so I have been there where, you know, maybe a board member is asking, what's your retention rate for your giving day? Or what do you project to raise for next year? We have these canned reports for you where you can actually run reports based off of specific years or based off specific months. So definitely something to look at as you maybe are planning for your giving day, or if you need to report any of that data out, you can actually run these reports as many times as you want through different dates, and all of that is available for you within the reports section. And lastly, I know that we are a little bit short of time, but just to go over peer-to-peer fundraisers. So I see that already within Arizona Gives, we have a lot of fundraisers that are happening now. I see that there's already some actively going, so that's great. But this is actually a updated feature within your system because we're making it easier for your donors to fundraise for you, or for your maybe your volunteers to fundraise for you. So if you're just an outside person, maybe interested in raising money for this test organization, you can see it's really easy to create a fundraiser very quickly in a matter of seconds, where you just have to update the title, you can update the goal, and you can see it's updating in real time, and you can even add an image. So we're making this easy for your donors as possible, where they can save and publish it, and they could forward it on to their contacts. Because as you know, people are more likely to give if it's a friend or family member that asks them versus a blanketed call to action to make a donation. So this is what your donors, or your maybe your outside, from the outside perspective of how to create a peer-to-peer fundraiser. But what happens if you as an organization want to create a fundraiser? So say, for example, we're back on your Raise platform and you want to create a fundraiser for your library because you need to raise another $5,000 to raise funds for to buy some more books. So within campaigns, if you go down within peer-to-peer fundraising, you'll see that there are 2 options available to you. One is fundraising pages and one is templates. So fundraising pages, this is for you as an organization where you can see either all the fundraisers that have been created already for you. So you'll see a list of anyone who's created a fundraiser page on your organization's behalf. You can see the title, how much was raised, and even when it was created. And you always have the option to publish something or unpublish something. So if for some reason you don't want this fundraiser page to show up anymore within your fundraiser tab, you can always unpublish it. Now for this example where I was talking about, I want to have a separate fundraiser where I want to raise $500 to, or I'm sorry, $5,000 to raise funds for more books. So you can edit this page. And again, you can see it is very easy to select an image. You can add your text. And then you can save and publish or save as draft. And then this fundraiser will show up within your platform. Let's go back. Oops, there we go. The other option, and I heard Jennifer talking about this a little bit, is say, for example, you have your board members, they want to raise funds for you, or your staff members, they want to raise funds for you. You can always direct them to your page and have them create the fundraiser page that way, or you can actually use templates. So with templates, you're actually creating that template for them, so you're making it as easy as possible for them to raise funds for you. So for this example, I created a templated page for anyone within our program team who want to support our fundraiser. So I added some kind of general text here, blanketed text here. You can add an image, and then you save the template. And you can actually then share this with people. So say you want to share this with all of your team members, you just add their emails within here and click share. And then they will receive an email notification saying that there is a fundraiser that's kind of set up for them. And all they have to do is review and publish this fundraiser page. So let's pretend that I was invited to this fundraiser page. I want to review it and publish it. My team can say like, okay, this text looks great. That's fine. Let's save and publish it. Or they could always select a different image. Maybe they want to make it more personalized and add a different image in there and add more text, maybe, you know, adding something more personal here. Looks great. Save and publish, and then this will be on display within your organization profile. So there's many different options, either them just creating a profile completely out of scratch, or you can actually create templates, as many templates as you want, and then have them raise funds through that way.
Annette,
Yes.
do people who create these pages, do they have to have administrative access? Or do they just get like limited access through the email to review and publish the page?
They get limited access. That's a great question. That yes, they get limited access. So if you're not an administrative staff member, you are going to create a donor account, and then that's all that you need to do. And so then when you go into your donor account, the only thing that you will see is just your fundraiser page, and that's it. No other data within there.
So if let's say I wanted to ask our board members to each have their own page, I can send them the template, they create it, approve it, and publish it on the overall organization's profile on Arizona Gives.
Correct.
Okay.
And then you will also see, as the admin staff person yourself, you will see all of those active peer-to-peer fundraisers within here.
Do you have a page available, a sample page that shows somebody's profile with the with different fundraisers on it, just to see what it looks like?
So I can look and see to see what we have. I know that on Arizona Gives, there's already some good examples. If you want to,
All right, no, I'll take a look there then.
Yeah, I've been very impressed. I work with a lot of different giving days, and Arizona Gives, you guys are very active and on these fundraisers. So it's great to see, especially too, as this is a slightly newer platform, that it's being implemented.
Thank you.
So anything else? And then just before I hand it back to Jennifer, this is a new system and we are here to support you. So if you have any questions or are stuck on anything, don't hesitate to click the support button and send us an email. We'll get back to you within 2 business days. It's usually quicker. And our support team will get back to you on that. And then that is also available for you within your profile as well that Jennifer has been going through. There's that support button. So we are here every step of the way. If you need any help, you can reach out, of course, to the Arizona Gives team or reach out to our staff here at Neon One. So that's my brief rundown of Raise. Again, it's just an extra tool to have, something to review. And I will hand it back over to Jennifer, and also happy to answer any other questions. I know we're at the hour too.
Yeah, we are, and I appreciate, Annette, you going over the support area. I wanted to mention that. Also wanted to mention our private Facebook group that you can join. We have some questions that we need you to complete when you go to that profile page, but that's probably the fastest way to get a hold of us. You can also get peer answers as well and interact with others. We also want to make sure that you're following us on the Alliance social media channels as well as Arizona Gives. Most of our communication for Arizona Gives is taking place, I should say communication for our nonprofits is taking place on the Alliance social media channels, as well as an email and the newsletter that you're receiving. Anything to do with donors, we're really focusing on that Arizona Gives social media, which you're welcome to share those posts if you desire, or you can use the toolkit that you all have access to on the back end. Alicia, would you unmute yourself and ask any questions that may have come in the chat while I was talking? I was trying to answer some of them as Annette was going over the Raise platform. I know that there was one question about fees and asking whether the credit card fees could also be included. Unfortunately, we don't have a great way to add that in, partially because it has to do with math, but essentially those calculations are done off of the gross amount of any donation. So if a donor chooses to cover the donation fees, and we were to add the credit card fees in with that, it would really make the calculations wonky because it is not a consistent number, as you well know. So the number will vary based on the type of payment. So it makes calculating even more troublesome and harder for you as an organization to determine what those dollars will be. So that's why we don't do that. We also look at it from the standpoint, if a donor were to give you or call you up with a credit card number yourself, you would automatically be paying that credit card fee through your processor as well. So that is a determination that we made that made it a little simpler for everyone.
And Jen or Annette, when somebody has a fundraiser page set up for them and let's say it is successful raising its goal, will that pull your organization's overall goal ticker down? So let's say you had a $25,000 goal and someone raised $5,000 as on a fundraiser connected to you. Will that pull your goal down? Okay.
Yeah, it's automatically feeding into your grand total. So if they create a fundraiser on your page, let's say you've got 5 different fundraisers, all 5 of those who are bringing in dollars, it is automatically totaling into your calculations. So the saying that, you know, more people helping you fundraise will bring in more dollars is true. You're going to more than likely raise additional dollars. At least that's what all the statistics show us, that the more people you have fundraising on your behalf, that the more dollars you'll raise.
Excellent. And that money, yes, Spencer, you asked, that will go through us into your account as a regular distribution.
Correct.
All righty, I think that's all I see pressing on I'll reach out to anybody else that we missed.
So there was a question about the private Facebook group, and it's going to say 2021 Arizona Gives participating organizations. Any or individual who received an approval email from us that their profile was approved also received the link in that email to join that Facebook group. But you can also find it online. If you have any issues, you can contact us through azgives@arizonanonprofits.org or through the support group, and we can make sure that you get that link so you can join us for that. We'd love to have as many people as possible on there. I've seen individuals joining, and I've also seen nonprofit organizations actually joining. They may have someone managing their social media that can peruse and look through that link too.
And I did
Once
pop the
again,
link in
go
there, so
ahead.
if you want to join the Facebook group, I popped it in there.
Perfect. All right. If you have any questions that come up, today, by the way, is the last day to get registered. We start early giving next week, and we have a lot to do in the next week after we turn off registration. Today is also the last day that you can order Arizona Gives Day swag and shirts and have it arrive before Arizona Gives. So those two announcements, make sure you do those by the end of today. Any other questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer questions. And my apologies for a couple of the technology snafus. The technology gods were not with me today, but we got through it. I appreciate you all hanging in there. Have a great day.
Thank you all.